Story for kids.
Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful girl named Cinderella. She lived with her mean stepmother and her two cruel stepsisters. One day, the stepsisters received an invitation for a ball at the royal palace. "What a shame maids aren't invited too," jeered the stepsisters. As soon as her stepsisters left, Cinderella cried her heart out. She wanted to go to the ball. Suddenly, she heard a voice from the back. "I'm your fairy godmother. I will fulfill your wish." The fairy godmother magically transformed Cinderella and her friends. She told Cinderella to return before midnight. As soon as the handsome prince saw Cinderella, he was instantly enchanted. They both danced together. The clock struck 12, and Cinderella immediately ran out of the palace. She panicked and lost a glass slipper in the palace. The puzzled prince chased after her, but only found the slipper. The love-struck prince went from house to house, making every girl try on the slipper. Soon, he reached the stepsister's house. They snatched the slipper from him and tried it on their feet in vain. Then the prince asked Cinderella to try on the slipper. Her dainty foot was a perfect fit. The prince gasped in delight. The prince took Cinderella back to his palace. They got married and lived happily ever after. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there lived a family of 3 bears in the forest. One morning, their porridge was too hot to eat, so they went for a walk instead. While they were out, a naughty little girl named Goldilocks came wandering through the woods. She entered their house. She saw a table with 3 bowls of porridge. There was one large bowl, one middle-sized bowl, and one small bowl. Goldilocks sat on the biggest chair and tried the porridge from the biggest bowl. But the cushion on the chair was very hard and the porridge too hot. Then she settled in the smaller chair. She tried some porridge from the smaller bowl, but the chair was too soft and the porridge too cold. Finally, she jumped into the tiny chair and tasted some porridge from the small bowl. It was delicious, but her weight broke the chair into pieces. Goldilocks went upstairs. There was one bedroom with 3 beds. She climbed into the big bed, but it was too hard. The middle bed was far too soft. Then Goldilocks climbed into the smallest bed. It was perfect. Soon Goldilocks fell asleep. The three bears came back home. When they looked at their bowls, they were shocked. Someone had eaten Baby Bear's porridge. They even realized that somebody had been sitting on their chairs. Baby Bear saw his broken chair and sobbed. They went upstairs to their bedroom. Baby Bear saw Goldilocks and screamed, "Somebody's been sleeping in my bed!" He screamed so loudly that Goldilocks woke up. She ran into the forest. The three bears never saw her again. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there lived a girl near a forest. She always wore a red hood. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Mom asked Little Red Riding Hood to visit Grandma, who lived on the other side of the forest. Little Red Riding Hood went into the forest carrying a basket of fruits for Grandma. A big, bad wolf was watching her. The wolf asked Little Red Riding Hood,
"Where are you going?"
"I'm going to see Grandma," she replied. The wolf suggested that she should pick some flowers for Grandma. As Little Red Riding Hood was picking the flowers, the wolf ran off. He wanted to get to Grandma's house before her. The wolf arrived at Grandma's house. She was sleeping in her bed. The hungry wolf swallowed her up. The wolf dressed himself in Grandma's clothes and climbed into her bed. Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf asked her to come in. Little Red Riding Hood entered and saw Grandma. She noticed that Grandma looked very strange. The wolf jumped out of the bed. Little Red Riding Hood screamed, "Wolf!" Little Red Riding Hood ran from the house. The wolf chased after her. A woodcutter saw them. The brave woodcutter picked the wolf up. He shook the wolf, and Grandma came out. She was safe. The wolf ran away. They thanked the woodcutter for helping them. Little Red Riding Hood promised Grandma to never talk to strangers again. Midas and the Golden Touch. Once there lived a kind and wealthy king named Midas. He was so obsessed with wealth that he would dream of it every night. One day, Midas saw an elderly man in the garden. He invited the man to his palace. At the palace, a young man wearing a leafy crown appeared. He was looking for the elderly man. The elderly man said to Midas, "This is Dionysus. He is a god." Dionysus said to Midas,
You've been very kind to my friend. In return, I will grant you a wish.
Midas wished,
Everything I touch must turn to gold. So be it,
said Dionysus, snapping his fingers. Instantly, Midas's wooden stick turned into a gold one. Midas touched his palace, and the walls turned to dazzling gold. He felt like the richest man in the world. It was dinner time, and Midas was hungry. But when he touched his food, it turned to gold.
Oh no!
His daughter heard his cries. She ran towards Midas and hugged him. Even she turned into a golden statue. He cried for help from Dionysus. Dionysus appeared. He said,
Bathing in the river will wash away your gift.
Midas stepped into the river, and his stick became wooden again. He went back to his palace. Everything was back to normal. Midas was very happy. He promised to never be greedy again. Rapunzel. Once upon a time, a young couple lived near an enchanted garden. But no one ever set foot in the garden because it was owned by a witch. One day, the wife, who was expecting a baby, began to crave spring leaves from the witch's garden. Her husband bravely picked leaves of a plant named Rapunzel. The witch caught him. The husband said,
It's for my pregnant wife.
In return, the witch demanded to take the child. The couple was soon blessed with a little girl. The witch arrived at their door and took the baby away. She decided to name her Rapunzel. Years passed, and Rapunzel turned 13. The witch locked her in a tower with no door. The witch would climb the tower using Rapunzel's long hair. One day, a prince saw Rapunzel sitting at the window. He was instantly enchanted by her. Rapunzel let down her hair, and the prince climbed up. "You must go before the witch finds you," said Rapunzel. The prince promised to help her escape with a rope ladder. When the witch returned, she sensed that a man had been there. In anger, she chopped off Rapunzel's long golden hair and locked her in a cupboard. The prince arrived again and climbed up. But the witch was holding the long hair. She tried to push him away. The prince managed to dodge the witch. She lost her balance and fell on the ground with a thud. The prince found Rapunzel in the cupboard. They climbed down the rope ladder and fled. Soon they got married and lived happily ever after. The Frog Prince. One day, a beautiful princess was playing catch with her golden ball near a pond. By mistake, she dropped the ball. It rolled down the bank and sank into the depths of the pond. "My golden ball is lost forever," said the princess.
I can find it for you,
croaked a frog. The princess hated frogs. She couldn't bear to look at him. But she said anyway, "I'll give you pearls and diamonds if you do."
I don't want pearls and diamonds. I want to eat from your plate, drink from your cup, and sleep in your bed. Will you promise me that?
"I promise," she said. The frog dived deep into the pond. He returned with the golden ball. The princess became very happy. She snatched it from the frog and ran away. That evening, the princess and her family were having dinner. There was a gentle knock at the door. A croaky voice called out,
Remember your promise, dear princess.
Who is that?
The king asked the princess. "A frog who found my lost ball. I promised to share my plate with him,"
Do as you promised.
thundered the king. Unwillingly, the princess picked up the frog. The frog ate from her plate and drank from her cup. She took him to her room. The frog hopped onto her bed and slept. The princess was disgusted. The frog ate from her plate and slept in her bed for 3 days. On the 4th evening, she heard a knock on the door. Standing at the door was a handsome prince. "Who are you?" stammered the princess. "I am a prince. A wicked witch turned me into a frog. Princess, you have been very kind to me. You have freed me from the spell. Will you marry me?" The princess was enchanted with the handsome prince. She agreed immediately. They married and lived together happily ever after. The Giant Turnip. Once upon a time, there lived an old man with his wife. The old man planted some turnip seeds. He watered them and cared for them. The seeds grew into plants. There were lots of turnips. The old man took good care of them. Out of all those turnips, there was one huge turnip. He had never seen a giant turnip before. Finally, the turnip stopped growing. The old man decided to pull it out of the ground. He pulled and pulled and pulled, but the giant turnip wouldn't budge. The old man called his wife for help. The wife held the old man, and the old man held the turnip top. Together they pulled and pulled and pulled. They called their son for help. Together they pulled and pulled and pulled, but the giant turnip wouldn't budge. They called their dog for help. Together they pulled and pulled and pulled, but the giant turnip still wouldn't budge. At last, they all called the little mouse for help. He crawled his way under the turnip and started nipping the roots with his teeth. While the little mouse nipped the roots, they kept pulling, and suddenly, pop! Out of the ground came the giant turnip. Everyone was pleased. That evening, they all enjoyed a delicious turnip supper, even the little mouse. 3 little pigs. Once upon a time, Mommy Pig and her 3 little pigs lived in a blue house, but it was too small. So the pigs went out to find new homes. The first little pig built a house from straw. He was very happy with his straw house. The second little pig built a house from sticks. He was very happy with his wooden house. The third little pig wanted to build a house that was stronger than the other 2. He built his house from bricks. A big, bad wolf was roaming in the woods. He went to the first little pig's house. He looked inside the window and saw the first little pig. The big bad wolf huffed and puffed. He blew the house made from straw away. The first little pig ran to the second little pig's house. The big bad wolf went to the second little pig's stick house. He looked inside and saw the 2 little pigs. The big bad wolf huffed and puffed. He blew the house made from sticks away. The 2 little pigs ran to the third little pig's house. The big bad wolf went to the third little pig's house. He looked inside the window. He saw the 3 little pigs in the house together. The big bad wolf huffed and puffed, but he could not blow away the house made from bricks. The brick house was too strong for the wolf. The big bad wolf came up with a plan. He climbed up the roof to jump down the chimney. The wolf landed in a pot of boiling water. The 3 little pigs had put the pot on the fire underneath the chimney. The big bad wolf ran out of the house. The 3 little pigs were very happy. They lived happily ever after.